Hey guys, Paul McLean here, and hey, I got a treat for you. First of all, thank you for tuning in, thank you for listening. And I sat back and I thought, what's really been taking off with Family First Life? Some of the people that are just crushing it, serving the most families, coming onto the scene and really going out there and elevating their game, where they got more time on the phone, talking to people, helping people, and the same thing with their agents as they get their agents on board. A system, some practical, steps to say, hey, this is how you best serve clients, doing telesales and live transfers. It's been something that we really kind of brought to the table, I don't know, maybe months ago, and we have taken off. I mean, to the tune of helping families left and right all day long through live transfers. I sat and thought, who could I have on today that would really serve you guys and serve you well? And I got my good buddy Santana to bring some value to you this morning. So Santana, thank you for joining, man.
Of course, of course. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Hey man, honor is mine, bro. And Santana, I know we were talking about this at conference. How many families are you helping a month doing live transfers?
So last month, I was able to help 44 families, all through live transfers.
That is great, man. How long have you been with Family First Life?
I've been with Family First Life for a little over a year and a half,
Okay.
getting close to a year and a half.
Now, did you start with FFL doing live transfers, or has that been kind of a transition?
Definitely a transition. I started out in the field the whole first year, and the last about 4 months, I've been doing just live transfers.
Okay. What caused you to decide, hey, I'm gonna evolve and adapt and start bringing this into my my regimen of selling? What got you thinking that?
Consistency, trying to be consistent on a daily basis. I guess being consistent in being consistent, if that makes any sense. I'd be consistent for a week and then drop off for a little bit. And to get something, I think I talked to someone at a convention from last year, and I said, "What has made you so successful?" And the key thing that I remember him saying is, imagine sitting with someone from the moment you start working to the moment you stop working. And that stuck with me. I didn't know about live transfers at that time, but that stuck with me. And so when live transfers came up, it made sense. The bell rang.
Is that where you're selling or helping most of the families where you're sitting right now?
Yes.
So
Yeah. Right
that's
here.
that's
Mhm.
that's where all the magic happens, right there.
Yeah. Right here.
I like
I've
it.
got, yeah. What I love about it is I have everything in front of me. And, my family doesn't know that I've got my script up. I've got everything that helps me in the process all right there in front of me.
That's good, man. I
So
never thought about that. So it's almost like you've got the cheat sheet in front of you and they don't know it, which is
exactly.
pretty good, man. Because if you go see the client, I've talked to some that say, hey, man, I got the 8 steps to final expense printed out on a laminated sheet. I stick it right on the table. And he's like, I don't care. I look at it as I go through it. But that's even better because they can't see you. And so you can have everything put up wherever, big thing, blown up and to remind you, okay, this is a step I got to go through, which I really want to get into today with you is kind of chunking down like the steps, the structure of the telesales process with live transfers exactly. So that way there's some kind of like structure and framework to it. So somebody's like, man, I really want to start doing that. I like what Santana said. He started with the face-to-face sales and that makes sense. Like being able to sit with somebody from the moment my day starts all the way until the moment it ends. That sounds profitable. That sounds great. um, I think that structure will give them some kind of, a confidence that, hey, this is pretty simple to do. And I can do it. So let's go through it, man. First, let's talk about lead strategy real quick. What vendors are you using? And then how much are you investing in leads each week to go out there and help 44 families in a month?
So I use several vendors like AWL, DataLot, EverQuote. There's a ton out there, but those are the three that I feel have fit the most in my schedule and made the most sense for me. So those three vendors. What was your other question?
What do you invest for the most part on an average in a week to help 44 families? What are you investing?
About 1,000 to 1,500 every single week.
Okay. So like clockwork, you set it up. How does that work with the vendor? You just say, I want to get X amount each day, starting from this time to this time. How do you do that?
Exactly. Exactly. Just like that, I tell them how many calls I want to get in a day, whether it's 5, 10, 15, and you just have your payment on file. So they just charge it as the call comes in. What I love about it is what I'm paying for are the people that I actually talk to. And that's been the most profitable or the biggest difference between in the field and live transfers.
Okay. Perfect, man. I love that. So, $1,500 on average a week. that gives you enough people to call and talk to throughout the day. How many people do you talk to on a daily basis? Like how many contacts, I guess, are you getting? So the live transfers come in, how many people are you talking to? And then how many end up converting into you actually helping that family?
So I speak about 5 to 10 people a day. So that's essentially 5 to 10 appointments that I have every single day. Well, 6 days a week, right? And out of those, well, when I was in the field, I had about a 70% close ratio. On the phones, the average is about 30%. I'm currently sitting at 40%.
So if you talk to 10 people, you'll help 4.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
That's phenomenal, man. So 40%. So you've got less percentage of I guess closing, right, or helping that client from who you're actually talking to. But the difference would probably be when you're booking an appointment. Say you book 10 appointments for tomorrow, you're not going to even sit with 10. You might sit with, say, 7. And of the 7, if your close ratio is 80%, maybe you end up helping, say, 5. Well, 5 of 10, that's 50%. So you're probably still not too far off, because when you got them on the phone, that's like the now you're sitting down with them, so to speak, right? And that's exactly. That's an appointment now. They've connected you. So 4 out of 10. And then as far as talking to people throughout the day, if you turn it on at like, say, 8 a.m., how long does it take you to get a hold? Is it just all day long? Are you sitting there waiting for a transfer to come through, or is it pretty much back to back? What does that look like?
If you have just one vendor on, it's going to be like that. You're going to have one call and then maybe an hour later, another call. But I have 3 of them going at the same time. So when I get a call, I'm pausing the other 2, taking that call. Once I'm done with it, 30, 45 minutes, I unpause. You got about however long it takes for the next call to come in, right? You've got 3 vendors sending you calls whenever they come in.
Okay, so good idea would be to have multiple vendors, so that way you have enough coming in. And what about even having, like, I was talking to this agent down there, and he had it going on, man. I was like, this is productivity at another level. He had like 3 phones, and one was like live transfers, one was phone burner with instant internet live leads, and then he was actually like calling manually, like mortgage protection, direct my final expense. I was like, dude, that's productive, man. Like, why would you not do that? You can say, well, 3 cell phones, that's going to cost an extra, $40 a month with 2 additional lines. Like what, like think about the productivity, how fast you can get on off the phones. Because Santana, for me, what I looked at was, if I can get on and off the phones and hit my goal. Like I had a goal for my job. My job was me selling, because that was me derived. Like I went out there, I put the activity in, I created the income. And so the moment I hit that goal, whether I was booking 15 appointments for that day, whatever that might've been, once I hit it, I was able to go out and start building my business. So I earned the right to start doing some recruiting efforts, whether that was posting on social media, shooting some DMs out, calling some cold market resumes. I was able to start doing something that was going to help build my business, working with agents, talking about their staff structure. But until I hit my job goal, I had not earned the right to go out and build my business, because the job is what paid me money. The job is what paid the bills. The business was going to build it down the road. The business was long-term game plan to get free from the job. But I think too many times somebody's really frustrated, and I have been there, where you don't go and give it your all to hit your job, the goal there, and then you start doing some recruiting stuff, and then it's like you're depressed because you're like, man, I don't have no account. Well, it's because, dude, you stopped doing your job at 20 hours last week. You should have hit the goal, and then you earn the right to build a business. And I think when you earn the right to do something that's going to produce a lot more fruit or benefits, it helps keep you focused on the thing that you got to focus on at that point in time at a higher level, where you just like, no distractions. I'm disciplined. I'm willing to pay the price. I'm not going to be distracted by what I feel like doing, the pull to go do this or that, because you get your eyes on something that once I hit this, boom, then I can go do it. I've earned the right to do it. I guess it's kind of like my kids. I'm like, you got to eat your vegetables and you can have a cookie, right? It's just, the vegetables taste better when a cookie's coming, right? So Santana, let's talk about the structure, man. Let's chunk it down. So you're doing a live transfer telesale. Let's go through that, man. Like, what is some of the main points that you try to cover with the client?
So it's like a 7-step process. It's pretty simple. It's straightforward. The first step is your introduction. I get a lot of people that call me, say, hey, what do you say when you're introducing yourself? Or they kind of make it like a big deal. And mine's is so simple. It's just, hi, my name is Robert. I'll be the one helping you from here. Looks like you were looking for some more information on life insurance. Is that right? That's my introduction.
Yeah.
Straightforward to the point. They know why they're calling. I know why they're calling. It's no different than being in a home. They know why I'm there. I'm there to help them. So I'm digging right into the point. So that's the first thing. The first step is the introduction. Keep it simple. This is who I am. This is what I'm doing. I'm your point of contact from here on out. So that's the first one. The second one is asking questions to find out the current position, right? We're there to solve a problem. I can't solve something I don't know. So I have to find out what that problem is. As far as coverage, what do you have in place now? Okay, are you looking to add to it, compare to it? I'm digging to see where, if they even have a problem or if they even need my help, right? I'm not a salesman in the sense that I'm trying to give them something they don't need. I'm a problem solver. So I need to find out the problem. So that's the second step.
What are some of the most important questions you believe you ask in that section 0.2? What are some just questions that build value, help you understand their situation? Because I love what you said, man, that we are problem solvers. And if you can see yourself like that, when you go into the client's house, you're not going to be so caught up and tied up into, hopefully I make this sale, or hopefully I don't mess up, or hopefully all these different fears of like, are they going to judge me? Am I going to get rejected? Am I going to sound stupid? Am I not going to sound smart enough? All those things kind of go out the window when you're just like, okay, I have to be very present to solve a problem. Because if you're focused on solving a problem, it's hard. You can't be distracted by these other fears and self-interest. You've got to be focused because you've got to identify and understand the problem, right? It's like my daughter last night, Santana, she came up, she said, Dad, I need some help with my homework, right? Now she's 9. And so I'm like, I got it. Like, you're 9. I'm not the smartest guy, but I know how to solve this problem, I'm sure, And so I'm kind of like reading it. It's a word problem and it got numbers in it. It's a word problem that you got to do math and stuff. But I'm kind of like paying attention to my phone because I'm texting back and forth with this agent about a meeting we're getting ready to put together. And it took me, dude, forever. She's like, Dad, come on. And the first time I did it, and I knew I was wrong because you have the digits to put in. And I was like, I didn't read it right. So then I go back through it. But I realized I can't solve the problem and understand it if I'm distracted. But the next one, I was like, all right, I got it. And then I focused, boom, I solved that thing quick, man. I was like, that's right, baby girl. You're that smart. I don't mess around. But that's a fact. If you can go, so you point to if you can say, okay, now I'm solving a problem. I think it's just like now you don't come across as a salesperson. You come across as a professional that's trying to find a need and then solve it. And I love that, man. I just wanted to highlight that because I think that if more people could identify themselves as problem solvers opposed to salespeople, they just do so much better when it comes to connecting with the client and actually understanding their situation and doing that, being able to provide the true value that they can with a solution that's going to solve that problem. So anyways, man, I'll give it back to you, but I thought that was really, really good.
Yeah. It honestly takes the pressure off of you, right? It's not what you can do, but how you can help them. So most questions I ask is the important ones that I feel help them the most is, what do you currently have? Are we adding to it, comparing to it? If they say they're comparing, I'm getting into all the details of their current policy. Okay. Is it whole life? Is it term? What's the coverage? What's the premium? Sometimes they get a little hesitant. I say, hey, listen, if we're comparing apples to apples, we got to be fair here. So I need all these details. And they're like, oh, okay, that makes sense. And they give it to me. If they don't have anything, I say, you're 79 years old, John. At this point in time, you've never had insurance. Why today? Right? I'm asking them, to remind them why they called in or why they filled out whatever they filled out. I've got to bring that why back up to the surface. Why today? If you're 79, why now? And now they're answering the question and giving the solution or giving me the problem instead of me trying to convince them why they need it. They're telling me why they need it. Big difference.
Real quick, man, that question again, you said you're 79. Why now?
Why now?
That's a phenomenal question because it's basically saying like, this is about you. It's not about me. And I just want to understand, man, like what was a trigger? It's almost like a trigger inducing question, because the why now is what led him to filling out the form or taking the call or deciding to be on the phone with you. Like that's what it is, which is like, man, I got sick, or I got scared. I had chest pain the other day, or my sister got diagnosed with cancer last week, or my mom just passed because of this, whatever that could be. But man, that's a trigger. And if you can get them back to the point that caused them to fill out the form and take action, if you can get them to that point and get them to stay on that point, that's where the emotion is built. And people make decisions based off emotion, and then they support the decision that was emotional by logic, which is why you have some people that it's like, wait, come again? Like they don't make any sense because it wasn't a logical decision. It was emotional. And so they're trying to like grasp a straw, and it doesn't make any sense because they have to try to figure out a way to justify that emotional decision. But this is an emotional sell, man. This is something that you can't touch and feel, where it's like, hey, take a look. This is easy. I can show you how it works. That's not how it works, man. It's something that's not yet happened. And so I think that's a great way to get that trigger point again, man. So that was great.
Beautiful. Yeah. Once I kind of have that, the next step, the third step, is just kind of briefly explaining the process. I don't get too deep into it, but I explain, hey, I'm a broker. This is what I'm able to do. This is my job. And I try to get you qualified based on your health questions and your financial budget, because it's one thing getting insurance, it's another thing keeping it. Wouldn't you agree, John? Questions like that I'm setting up to, I want them to know what to expect, but I'm not getting too deep into it just yet. That's the end, right? But I'm just touching it a little bit. Then right when I'm done with that, I'm finding out the why. I even stop myself. I say, you know what, John, I went a little too far. Let's step back before we go too far. And so I know which direction to take this in. Who are we trying to leave this money behind for? Who are we trying to protect? And so I dig into their why a little bit in that sequence or that process. Once I kind of find that out, I get on to the next step. I then verify their information, because we are on the phone, right? So they need to know that I know as much about them as they've filled out. Sometimes I'll ask questions. They'll say, I wrote it all down. I say, yeah, you did. I just want to verify what you've got so far. I have your date of birth is this, your address is that all correct? It validates the call, solidifies it a little bit more. So they know I'm not just some Joe Schmo out of nowhere. So I verify their identity, validate the call. And then the next step, the sixth step, is I set the table. I do this anytime I went in home. I do it over the phone as well. No matter where I'm at, I'm setting the table, letting them know exactly what to expect. Okay, once we find something that matches your needs and your budget, we're then going to submit a request to one of the carriers today to see if you actually qualify for something. Does that make sense? Once we submit that, they're going to either give us a yes or a no. If they say no, no worries, John, we're going to pivot over to another carrier. If they say yes, they'll send you a policy in the mail. You have what's called a free look period. Your state protects you that way. You've got 30 days to look through it, make sure it makes sense. It's everything in writing. And if you have any questions, you give me a call. When you see that first draft, John, that's a good thing. That means your policy is active. Any questions so far? So, I'm setting the table completely. And then once he says yes to that, I'm telling him what I'm going to need. Okay, when we submit a request, John, I'm going to need some information. No offense to you, John, but there's a lot of people out there, John Doe. And so for the carrier to know who to send the money to and how to identify your health records, they're going to need some information from you. It's going to be your address, your date of birth, your social security number. And if you decide to move forward, it's going to be your banking information, account and routing number. Is that going to be a problem for you, John? So I'm attacking these things head on because I want to overcome them now versus waiting to the end.
That's good. I think Santana, when you try to wait until the end to overcome them, a lot of times the client never really heard the value and saw the urgency in it because the whole time they were thinking about that objection. The whole time they were kind of thinking about, I don't know if I want to buy this. I don't know if I want to have to give them my social. I don't know if I have to give them my bank account. I don't know if I want to have, but if you tack it right on head on, then you've removed that from them. And what that does is it gives them clear, focus on like what you're talking about. Now they can see it. They're not clouded by all these different thoughts in their head that become the objection that they verbalize at the end. So if you can attack it head on, a lot of times it never comes out. And it also doesn't plague them through the process where they're actually thinking about that, not thinking about the questions you're asking, not thinking about the value and the picture you're painting. And so I think that's the way you got to do it for sure, man. That's great. I love the setup. And by the way, real quick, I love the fact that question you said also when you're like, so if when the bank account, when the bank pays it, that's a good thing because that means you're protected. So all you're doing too is telling them about it and tying it to tying it to the way they should see it, which is a great thing because they're protected, not like the money's gone, the money's getting pulled. No, the bank paid the premium, and that makes sure that you're protected, which now you have the peace of mind, which is a beautiful thing. So we're going to do whatever we can to push them, to call them, to make sure that we get this approved where that bank sends that premium as soon as possible so you can have the peace of mind that you desperately want, which is why I'm here. I love the way you tie that, man. So anyways, I'll keep it moving, brother.
Yeah. And then, so what I love about that too is there's no surprises. Like I like to treat people like how I like to be treated. And I just don't like surprises. And so I try to put everything on the table at the beginning. If we're gonna have a problem, let's address it now. Let's see what those objections are. Let's overcome it. And then so when we get to the end, it's not awkward for me to say, what's your social or what's your banking? It's easily as transition into it. Okay, if they do approve this, you want them drafted from a checkings or a savings. Oh, I forgot to get my checkbook. Hold on. And they just go grab it because they knew it was coming. Then once I'm done with that, I sum it all up, or I wrap it all up by saying, okay, John, so far, everything that I've said so far, does that sound fair? If they say yes, I'm transitioning into my health questions. Say, okay, John, well, let's start off easy. Now that we got past all that, are you a smoker or non-smoker? And then now I'm just going to my medical questions, and that's my comfort zone. Now I'm just cruising through it.
I love that. So once you go through all that, you're basically into. Are you in the e-app at that point in time?
I'm essentially into it, but what I've got the call tool. So call tools is a tool that you can pull up quotes and everything from. So at the beginning of the conversation, I have their age and their gender. So I'm putting that in. So from the beginning, when I say hello, I already know what 10,000 is going to cost, what 20,000 is going to cost. So throughout the whole presentation, I'm talking a little bit here and a little bit there about budget. I have a good idea already where I'm going from the beginning.
What is that tool called again?
It's called FEX Call Tools Kit. And so with that, I'm able to pull up everything. So sometimes they'll call and they'll say, right off the bat, hey, I'm looking to stick under $200. When they do that, I just go into my questions. Perfect. You've been shopping around. What does that look like? How's your experience been? Do you have coverage now? So, asking questions to draw that, what the problem is. But I've got what, how much they can qualify for. So it's easy going at the end. I'm like, okay, I already know he's looking for 10 at this budget. I can get him 20 at that budget. So your confidence is way up here because you can get him something. So
I love that. So you go through that platform, and then once you get that information, then you go into the e-app.
Yeah. Once I get everything, once I get the health, I dive into their budget. And my favorite line that I use for everybody, I get what they make, so it's transitioning into it. I say, okay, your health looks great, John. Now, like I mentioned earlier, we want to dive into affordability because like I mentioned earlier, it's one thing getting it, it's another thing keeping it. Wouldn't you agree? Yeah, of course. Perfect. So now, John, I'm not a private investigator or anything, so I don't need all the deep details, but currently at 79, you working or you retired now? And then I'm just getting the budget. Okay, what does that look like as far as a monthly income? Great. Now, John, obviously we all have bills, groceries, car insurance, home insurance. I know I like to eat, so my grocery bill is pretty big. So after all your bills are said and done, what's typically left over for you? And whatever they give me, it doesn't really matter. Just whatever they give me, they're pretty solid. They're like, I got about 500 left over, or about 300 left over. I say, okay, perfect. But John, the reason I ask that is because most of my families like to set aside whatever's left over after bills are paid. They like to set aside anywhere from 50% to 35% of that and put it into a policy to make sure their family has everything they need them to have. And if the budget allows, what they want them to have. Generally speaking, does that budget fit comfortably in your for you? And that, yes, they know what 50 to 35% is, whether it's 150 to 105, whatever it is. They'll even say it. They're like, wait, what's that? That's this much to this much? Is that a month? Yes, sir. Yeah, it fits comfortably. So now I got the budget out of the way. It's there. And so I say, okay, let's see what we can find for you. And then I'm digging into getting options for them.
I love that. Because once they give you a number, man, it's like the value's already been put in place. Anything's better than nothing. And so the sale's pretty much done,
Yeah. And I'm not asking them for it because, right, no one likes to give you the number, or if you ask them, they're going to give you the lowest number they can think of. But if I say that 50% to 35%, does that fit comfortably? Majority of the time, they're like, yeah, that fits comfortably. Now I've got a budget to work with.
That's great, man. I love that. And I think that's it's like reverse engineering the whole process. So you're getting all the yeses up front. You're handling the objections up front. You're getting a budget up front. And so when you get to the end, it's like, I mean, it's just a formality. Like we already this is already done. I just have to basically show you the option to say, okay, you're going to get 20,000 and this is going to fit the budget. We already know that. Let's move forward. And I love that, man, because the thing is this: when value exceeds price, people buy. And so you've already built up the whole value. And then when you go into showing the price, you already know what the price is going to tie to based off what they said is affordable. So it's like it's a perfect flow, I think. And so I can definitely see, why you're out there, writing and helping 44 families a month, man. And that's just it's just growing from here, right? I mean, I know that the month before it's continuously progressing. This year, red jacket.
Oh yes.
You look good in red, man. I think red, yeah, it's very complimentary. I mean, I think it's good. I think it's good.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. This is what do they call it? A preview of what you're gonna see.
Okay, man. Well, hey, man, I have no doubt about it. I really mean that. I believe without a doubt that you'll be a Hall of Fame producer this year. What you're doing is great, and you just served the whole company, man. You served me because I didn't even understand all the I guess chunking down the telesales process. I haven't heard it like that, and for me, like it's always helped me having some kind of structure to it. Now when I go through the in-home, I kind of know, okay, I got to just kind of make sure I hit these points, and if I do, I'll be all right. And I think you just provided some great structure to the live transfers, and I know that a lot of people on here, they've been thinking about it. They're like, I know I need to, man. I know I need it. I want to give it a shot. I want to see how it works out. And I think this will give them some structure. Maybe we'll push them over and they'll make the move to give it a shot and add that to what they're doing and take their business to the next level. So I appreciate you, man. Thank you, Santana. Thank you for hopping on. Guys, let's go crush it. Make it a massive week. Be strong, stay steadfast, and we'll talk to you soon. Take care. Bye-bye.